In this video, we're going to go over how exactly you are going to be able to rank for the super competitive term that, if you were to rank well for, would drive a meaningful amount of revenue to your website. I'm going to go over how to find the keywords, how to structure the internal linking, and how to just think about approaching this, because it can be kind of daunting. How are you supposed to outrank the big names in ecom without a specific approach to it? So let me pull up my screen here. So to start, this is kind of the basic framework. It's a very ugly picture that I drew for the last video I just recorded, but this is just the overall framework and strategy that you need to use to rank for these really competitive terms. So in the middle here, you have that main term that you really want to rank for, right? There's a few conditions on how to look for these types of keywords. The first thing is, again, we have to go back to revenue. Like, if you were to rank first for this, would it drive a meaningful amount of revenue to your business? Now, if you are doing $10 million a year, this keyword is not going to be a keyword that has 500 searches per month, right? Because even if 100% of those people clicked on your listing and you drove 500 people to your website and you had a great conversion rate, a 5% conversion rate, that's, 25, I hope I'm doing that math right, 25 purchases, and your average order value is $100, $2,500, that wouldn't be bad, but that's not going to move the needle for you in a meaningful way. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're doing $1 million a year, an extra $2,500 per month is going to be a much more significant chunk of your, especially if you're organic revenue. It's probably a pretty significant chunk of organic revenue, a significant boost in organic revenue. So you always want to come back to the lens of, is this going to drive a meaningful amount of revenue for me? And if it doesn't, then it doesn't belong in this wildly important keyword category. And that's what I call these main keywords, is WIKs, wildly important keywords. Anyway, once you have the next condition, is you have to reasonably be able to compete for it. Nothing wrong with having big goals of ranking for super broad, super high volume keywords, but you have to be realistic with where you're at. And we'll get into how to figure that out, but basically just comes down to the backlink gap. Like, how many backlinks does my page have, and how many backlinks does the top 3 ranking pages for this keyword have? And if that is a huge gap, it's going to take a long time to rank for it, and so you might be better off focusing somewhere else. And yeah, those are kind of the two main conditions that you want to think about when choosing these wildly important keywords. And then once you have that, choosing, this outer ring here, these smaller circles are going to be like sub-collection pages targeting long tail versions of this keyword. And you build collection pages around them, and then these arrows represent internal links. So the first link on all of these sub-collection pages points to this main wildly important keyword. And my short term for these sub-collection pages is MIC, mildly important keywords. And these are going to be keywords that still will drive revenue if you rank well for them, just maybe not a super meaningful amount, but in aggregate between all these 7 or 10 or however many sub-collection pages you build, it adds up to be a significant amount of revenue if you were to rank well for all of them, right? So again, probably not keywords that have 10 searches per month, but also not keywords that have 10,000 searches per month, right? Unless you're Nike, maybe. But that is kind of the framework. And then there's also a third level here that represents like blog posts, top of funnel blog posts. And the way you find these keywords is just, it's going to be in the same topic cloud, I guess you could call it, of these main keywords. but these are like questions people have about, and I'm going to go into a specific example here to make this more clear. But these are questions people have about the main keyword. You know, what is the best version of X? How do I use X? X versus Y brands, right? Those types of posts. And then again, through internal linking, you the first link is always going to point to this main collection page, and then the subsequent links are either going to link to the sub collection pages or to other blog posts within the same cluster. And then just real quick, the way this strategy kind of compounds is when you do this over and over and over again for different really important keywords that, again, would drive meaningful amounts of revenue for you. And in doing so, you just cast this super big net on Google, right? Of getting in front of all the different possible ways that that people are searching for the types of products you sell, and you just end up having this huge net, and it basically becomes impossible to not show up, at least for some percentage of these keywords, right? It's impossible to not grow organically when you have a comprehensive net that looks like this on Google. So if we go, let's pull this into reality and look at a specific example. So I just chose the keyword exfoliants here. It's a pretty common skincare term that has tons and tons of long tail versions of the keyword, so it's a good example to use. Right, the main keyword exfoliants here is going to have lots of volume. For some reason, exfoliants has 1600. Exfoliating scrub. We'll use that as the example. 22,000 searches per month, and surprisingly not that difficult according to SEMrush to rank for. But for most brands, if you were to rank 1 for a keyword, getting 22,000 searches per month, you're going to be driving a lot of new traffic to your website, and whatever your conversion rate is times your average order value, that's how much extra revenue you could expect to drive from ranking first for a keyword like that. But let's just use exfoliating scrub as our main keyword, and I'm gonna get this back down to just 1 to make it easier to look at. If the exfoliating scrub here is our main keyword, the way we're going to find those sub collection pages is just look through the keyword list, right? Face exfoliator, 12,000 searches, pretty good one. Definitely a longer tail version of that keyword. Best exfoliator for face. That could be, you could twist that as a collection page. It could also be a blog post. Exfoliator for face, scalp exfoliator, BHA exfoliant, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of exfoliating lip scrub, body exfoliating scrub, right? So you build a collection pages for all these keywords. And, just in those maybe 5 or so examples I gave you, they all have, the smallest keywords, 2,900 searches per month. So between all those, it's probably another 20,000 searches per month. So collectively, those sub collection pages ranking well for them would be just as strong as ranking for this main collection page. And then through internal linking, like say you rank well for exfoliating cleanser, 2,900 searches per month, should be relatively easier to rank for. And then the internal link passes that SEO value along to this main page and helps this one rise through the rankings over time. So that is the WIK and the mix, the wildly and the mildly important keywords. And then when you move on to that kind of outer ring we talked about, you can start looking at questions. And these are going to be really good blog posts to write. How to exfoliate your face, your skin. Do you exfoliate before or after shaving? How to exfoliate your scalp. How to make exfoliator with sugar. These types of questions. I'm sure if you kept reading, you'd find brand comparisons or, best version of best scalp exfoliator products, something like that. And these are all potential blog posts that you can write within this same category of exfoliants and exfoliators. And by building all these pages, doing the internal linking, point all those internal links pointing to the main collection page, you give yourself the absolute best chance of ranking well for that main keyword. And and if you want like more concrete examples, great brands that do this really well in the skincare space, like Ulta, Sephora, they all do this. Gymshark does it really well. There are a lot of big brands, like all the big brands that rank really well organically, employ strategy something like this. So it's really the best way to give yourself the absolute best opportunity or chance to rank well for these main keywords that, if you were to rank well for, would drive a meaningful amount of revenue for you. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, drop a comment. I read every single comment. You can shoot me an email or a DM on LinkedIn or something like that. And if you want my team to do this for you, feel free to book a call on my website. I'll leave a link to my website in the description below. There's also a video going over how we work and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's it. And other than that, have a great rest of your day.